So after I quit school, I kind of just moved up to Lincoln by myself to pursue this business with him.
Yeah.
And I slept in the gym for 6 months. So I was training. I wasn't making any real money yet doing production and stuff. So I was helping him train at the gym he partly owned. So I was sleeping on the conference room floor in a sleeping bag, waking up at 6 a.m, going out, unlocking the doors to let everyone into the gym, and then training people in the morning, and then going out and doing our production business stuff on the side. The night before my interview, he actually sent me a Dropbox folder full of some of their last like expo footage. And he's like, hey, can you put this together? He sent it at 10 o'clock at night. I had to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning to make it there on time. So I stayed up all night trying to edit something together that was like presentable. I actually finished on the 9-hour drive. I was like driving and like trying to get some editing done. Every time I stopped for gas, I'd take a couple minutes just to like throw some transitions in there and stuff. Did a 25-minute interview, turned around and drove back.
Crazy.
Slept in a Target parking lot during the day. I was exhausted.
Did they not realize like they put you under so much stress?
I didn't tell them. Yeah.
What's going on, guys? My name is Ryan Snod. It Rhymes with Odd, and you're listening and watching the Rhymes with Odd podcast, where we talk all things business, entrepreneurship, and personal development. Today, we have another amazing guest in the studio. We have Holden Ogg in the house. What's up, man?
What's up, my dude?
So this is our first time meeting in person. But
in person, for sure.
I've been following you online for a couple years now, so it's kind of fun. We'll dig into kind of your backstory, but Holden has a really cool like story line arc that we're going to talk about. Like as a creative, you worked in Chicago for a very well-known brand, Ghost, which we'll talk about. And now you're back in the warm heartland of Iowa, living down here. We just got snow last night, so it's a little cold here. But
man, thought we were done with that.
Yeah. But welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, man. Dude, we've been talking about this for a while, so finally jumping on, getting behind the mic.
Sure. No, I love it. And he brought his dog, so if you hear sniffing, scratching, he might even make a cameo appearance at the end or something. We might bring him in here.
Rover's out there.
He's sniffing up the studio. So, but no, I'm really excited for this conversation. There's a lot of things we have in common. Obviously, we're both in the creative field, photo, video, all that stuff, marketing. But I really want to kind of go from where you started, where you are, all that type of stuff. But before we do that, can you tell people, just introduce yourself, like who you are and what you do currently?
Yeah, so my name is Holden Ogg. I am now a solopreneur. Just started up my own agency. It's kind of been on the down low for the last couple months. I just quit my job at Ghost after 5+ years of kind of helping run the content over there and helping build the team to what it is now. So finally felt like it was my time to jump off and kind of do my own thing again. And dude, I'm stoked about it. I'm nervous, but like with everything kind of happening over the last couple months, I've never been more confident in my ability to go off and now help brands kind of build. So super excited. Yeah,
this is super good, like pivotal time too. Just ironic, like you're in this like transition period because it's a time to talk, reflect about where you've been, where you want to go. It'll be a really fun conversation.
Oh, dude, for real. I've been super blessed with all the opportunities that have come my way up to this point, Ghost being one of them. And then also being able to meet really cool creatives like yourself and everyone I met in the past probably half decade with Ghost and stuff. So I'm more excited than ever to kind of get rolling. It's been kind of a slow month or so of trying to build up, but I know we'll get into that pretty soon here. So
Sure. Yeah. So before we get ahead of ourselves, I think it'd be helpful to kind of give people an idea of like your backstory, where you grew up, and kind of how you ended up in Chicago.
Okay. Well, I tell people I've kind of built my way up to this point by throwing mud at a wall. Been blessed with a bunch of different opportunities and stuff, and kind of taken each opportunity with basically just what my dad kind of instilled upon me: hard work, effort, and then just my faith. So starting out, I was born in Lincoln, Nebraska. So Cornhusker in my blood, till death.
Sure.
But
I know we have volleyball. They're known for volleyball.
Yep, known for volleyball.
Wrestling too.
Wrestling, not quite as much as Iowa. Yeah. Iowa wrestling is kind of like the GOAT.
Yeah, so. I know Nebraska and Iowa are always like top two for wrestling, and then
the farm bred.
Yeah, and then in my small town, we had Michaela Fecky and she was from my little town in West Point, so she like #1 recruit out of high school. She went to Nebraska and played because I'm 29, so she was in my grade, and I think she was Gatorade Player of the Year, and then
That's wild.
helped lead the Huskers to 3 national championships while she was there.
It's that cornbread blood, bro.
Yeah, she's a very good volleyball player. So that's my one connection to Nebraska.
There you
is
go.
that. So.
There you go. Yeah, so I was born in Lincoln, Nebraska. Diehard Husker fan till I die. But moved to Southwest Iowa when I was about 8 or 9 years old. And grew up on a ranch out there. I was homeschooled up until the point I was 6th grade. My mom and dad trained horses, raced horses, did horse lessons. We built a ranch out there, built an indoor arena, outdoor arena, and we kind of held some like rodeos and stuff out there as I was growing up. And about the time I turned about 13, 14 years old, I got really into sports, football in particular. And obviously, as a kid, always have dreams and aspirations to do something great. My aspiration was to walk on to Nebraska, be a Cornhusker, and then get drafted to the NFL.
I love the dream. That's a great.
It was a big dream. Big dream. Small kid from the Corn State. But obviously that didn't happen. I had some, not going to say I probably would have made it without the injuries, but I had some injuries that actually played a part later on in my life as well that we'll kind of go over.
Sure. What position do you play?
So I played quarterback, kicker, defensive linebacker, and defensive end. So I was
it small
Iron Man
school,
football,
like a little 2A or 1A? Or?
Dude, I graduated with 36 people.
Okay. Was
Small
it
school.
2A? That has to be a 1A.
1A. It was 1A, yeah.
Was it like a Catholic school or just a smaller?
Just a small.
Okay.
Yeah. The year after I left, my younger brother's year, they went to 8-man football, I believe it is. So crazy.
Yeah, I know we had the school that Michaela went to was the Catholic school in town, and they graduated like 30 in their class. But the guys would just play on the public school team with us because you're not going to field a football team with like, you need like 30, at least 30 people. And that'd be,
I think 90% of our team was like underclassmen too. So like freshmen, sophomores. So I was one of, I think 7 seniors on the team. Maybe we had like 8 or 9, but 7 that played regularly. That was my dream though, was playing football and stuff. I didn't pick up a camera until, college time. I actually graduated high school, Griswold High School, Griswold, Iowa. Went down to Auburn University for about 2 years. Studied kinesiology and biomechanics. Thought I wanted to do something within the fitness space. You get out of sports and you're like, oh, how can I stay relevant within like the fitness, like stuff like that. So fitness was like my avenue there. I started getting into a lot of the fitness influencers at the time, the online coach, Christian Guzman, Max Tuning.
Yep. Yeah, I love those guys. I still listen to Max's podcast. I still watch Christian's videos. He was like, that's one of the people that got me into the space too. Just 100%. Like seeing what people can take a camera and turn it into a business empire is pretty crazy.
Went through all that like fitness phase. I'm dieting down like in the gym like 3 hours a day every day, like doing 2 a day sometimes, cardio, go back, and then go to class and stuff like that. So I was doing that for a while down south in Alabama. And I thought that was like, you know what, I really always wanted to like be out and about and like not be confined. When I was 16 years old, so kind of doing a flashback here, when I was 16, I was a foreign exchange student in Italy. And that was because like growing up and stuff, I was kind of a shy kid and anxiety ridden. Like I couldn't be away from home. I couldn't go sleep over at friends' places or anything like that. So I always knew like, you know what, I have to like, I can't always be like this. So I started looking into foreign exchange. And at first I was like, oh, I'll go to like London. There's no language barrier. That's going to be easy. I want to go to London anyway. And ended up in Italy, out of all places.
It's close.
Close. Language barrier for sure.
Yes.
But so I was there for 6 months, my junior year, second semester. So I played through football season and then left. I was gone for 6 months and I was 16 years old. It was a crazy experience. Homesick 98% of the time, but met some really cool people.
Did you have like a host family or did you go with a group of other students?
No, I was alone. So I went with 3 different host families.
Okay.
So the first one didn't really work out. It was an hour and a half away from the school. So I'd have to commute every day by like local bus and stuff like that. The second one I moved to, their son was a foreign exchange student in New Zealand at the time. And when he came back a couple months in, they were like, oh, you're staying in his room. We can't we can't fit everyone. So I was like, oh, I'll sleep on the couch. Like they won't allow us to do that. So I moved to another family. And the last family was actually probably I don't want to say my favorite because I loved them all, but it was the most relatable. They had 5 kids, and I grew up with 6 in my family. Okay. So it was really relatable. Younger kids, older kids. And one of the older kids, their boyfriend actually played American football.
Okay.
And so he let me go practice with them, like fully pad up and everything. His name was Marco, and we'd go out and get some hits in. Sure. It was crazy. So that was fun. When I came back, I kind of felt different. I was just changed from like a worldly view, like you see things in a different perspective. And ever since then, like Auburn, like I knew when I graduated high school, I was going to leave the state of Iowa. Iowa wasn't for me. I wasn't a farmer, wasn't going into agriculture. So why am I here? So I went down to Auburn. My uncle graduated there with a law degree. So I went down there initially thinking I was going to do some law, but then I was like, you know what? Let's stick to the fitness side of things. Do kinesiology, biomechanics. Started that, did 2 years. And then decided after that, it's too expensive to go to school here.
Sure. Because you're paying out of state.
Paying out of state. It's a private school.
Yeah.
And it's
what was
prestigious.
Your guys' tuition per year there?
About 45.
Yeah, about 45.
Yeah. Yep. So at that point, I was like, I could probably get this education somewhere else. Plus, like, go closer to home for a little bit. I haven't seen my family in 2 years. So I transferred up to UNO, University of Nebraska, Omaha. And I went there for about a semester and a half. And then that's kind of when I was taking an entrepreneurship class. Because at that point I had like kind of switched majors again. And just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I took some business classes, took this entrepreneurship class. There was a CrossFit gym owner in there. Started to talk to him. Like me and him got along really well. We did some projects together. And from there, I had like picked up a camera a couple months previous, started taking pictures of my buddies in the gym and stuff like that, and really got into like the fitness side of things. Cause like I said, I was following Christian, Max, the online coach, and really getting into like the wanting to share my progress and stuff like that. So picked up a camera, started doing that, and finally in one of the classes one day I was like, dude, I'd love to come over to the gym and like shoot some photos for you, and like at least for Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So he allowed me to do that, and that turned into this whole journey of like, I am now the man behind the camera.
Sure.
So the crazy part is obviously no training, I didn't go to school for this stuff. I picked up a camera one day, didn't know what ISO was, didn't know what aperture was, and just between YouTube and then just kind of figuring it out, I kind of put together a resume of helping a couple gyms, salons. I got an internship with the school shooting all the hockey games, the basketball games, tennis, baseball, everything. Sure. And actually, my boss there at UNO, he is now heading off all the softball, baseball, football, and basketball at University of Nebraska. So he basically owns the whole video system over at Nebraska. Crazy dude, crazy knowledgeable, and very talented. So he inspired me. Like that really kicked me off in my career. Was like, I want to know everything that this guy knows about cameras, about like sports, shooting, everything. So that was like one of my big goals. His name's Nick Burkhart, and dude, like up until this day, like I still stay in touch with him and stuff like that, but he's been probably one of my biggest inspirations behind like actually wanting to learn more about like creating in general.
Sure.
From there, I dropped out of school. I was like,
were you a junior at the time?
Junior, yeah, okay. Junior. I would have had to go probably another year just because I switched so many times. In between there, I took a semester of architecture. Didn't say that because it was just kind of like out of nowhere. I just decided, you know what? I used to this is how I like justified taking architecture class to my parents. I was like, I used to like build with Legos. I loved it. I'm a creative. Like, just let me do this. So I went and took a semester of architecture. Sure. Decided 8 years of school was not for me.
That's fair. That's fair. My wife was also interested in that, and now she does hair. So it's like kind of the roundabout thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, you have to go and at least experience and like explore. College, when you're paying 45 plus, probably not the time to do it.
Sure.
I did it anyway, and still paying for it. But regardless, got out of that and just didn't really know what I wanted to do. Took the business classes that led me into the field of like just talking to gyms, talking to other businesses around the area, and finally jumped into the creative field. And by far not the most talented guy out there, but dude, I had some spit and grit. I was at one time during my UNO days, I was working 5 jobs. I had 2 gyms under my belt, 2 salons, and then I was working at a country club doing the greens work for all the golf course, basically. Sure. And it was they had some PGA events there, so it was like pretty prestigious. Like they knew what they were doing and stuff. So I was out there 4 o'clock in the morning every morning doing greens work, cutting grass, cutting the 2.5 grass on the outer edges of all the holes, filling divots, going and raking all the bunkers and stuff like that. I'd work 4 to 8, 9 o'clock, head off to take a shower and then go to class. Go to a couple hours at class, get off there, go to one of the gyms, and kind of alternated the gyms by day because I got to the point where I was like, I can't hit everything in one day. Like, there's no way. I was doing content for everyone. And at that point, I wasn't like batch shooting. I was just like going, shooting, posting, going to the next place, shooting, posting.
Right. Were you just doing like workout content with the trainers? Were you just shooting like
workout content? It was documentary style. It was like depending on what the gym was or what the salon was doing at that point. Trying to stay up with like at that point there weren't really like trends or anything. It was just kind of like shooting and making sure you were posting stuff like daily.
Was it one of those gyms too where like they probably weren't paying you too much? It was like trading for a free membership, or was it actually pretty legit?
The 2 gyms I was working for free. One of the salons was finally paying me. And the other salon was just a buddy, so I was just kind of helping out.
Sure.
I was doing this for free. I don't know why. It was at that point I was just like scared to ask for money, I guess. Yeah. And this goes back to like my anxiety and my like just fear of whatever it was. Yeah. It just kind of led me to a point where I was like working all this time and like putting so much effort into it. And I was like, something's bound to happen. I'm going to start something. So classes started coming up and like getting in the way of my work. How dare my classes get in the way of my work, right? So I was like, you know what? School's not for me. I told my parents and they were like, I guess we'll support you. Like they weren't going to go against me. I mean, they understood where I was coming from. And they kind of saw like the fruits of my labor and stuff kind of coming to fruition. And I grew up in like a very faithful household as well. So they knew like whatever choice I decided to take, you know, God was going to lead me in the correct direction. And I was pretty confident in it too. Like I've always been pretty confident in my faith and like where God's leading me and like the opportunities that he's given me. There's no way like I can't be successful because of that. So I kind of took the jump, quit school, actually joined in with a business, started a business with my buddy, Donnie Baker. We started NSM Productions, so No Sleep Nation. We lived by that mantra for about 2 years and burnt out several times, just no sleep. Just like our mantra was like, we're not going to sleep until we get your work done. And so whether it be weddings or brand videos or just hype videos in general, we would shoot and get them done the day of, or in the next morning you would have the link.
Is this the same Donnie Baker who's also like a farmer?
Yep.
He has TikTok virality.
Yep.
Dude, I did a project with him a couple of months ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, and he also works with there's like an agency owner that's pretty big on social media that I follow too. Dude, it's like
Lando. Those 2 are my dudes.
Why do I know all these people? You know, that's such a small world.
Dude, to be honest with you, like I said, dude, I've been blessed with so many opportunities. Those 2 coming into my life, nothing but like a miracle. Yeah. I met Donnie at a CrossFit event in Lincoln. And like literally he just asked me to film him do a handstand. Mm-hmm. And somehow out of that, we became best friends. Yeah. I was living in his gym. So after I quit school, I kind of just moved up to Lincoln by myself to pursue this business with him. Yeah. And I slept in the gym for 6 months. So I was training. I wasn't making any real money yet doing production and stuff. So I was helping him train at the gym he partly owned. So I was sleeping on the conference room floor in a sleeping bag, waking up at 6 a.m, going out, unlocking the doors to let everyone into the gym, and then training people in the morning, and then going out and doing our production business stuff on the side. So I did that for about 6 months, and then finally I moved in with Donnie and his roommate at the time. I was paying like $300 just to stay in a room, which was nice. It was like at that point, it was so exciting to be a part of something and be like working towards something that like at the time I really didn't know like what there was out there. I was just going to work until I started making money.
Was that 6-month period where you were like sleeping in the sleeping bag, did that feel like rock bottom for you? Or were you just loving life? You just
to be honest with you, like there were stressful
like a happy
days.
homeless person.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, there were stressful days, but like I was so excited to be a part of something that I like really didn't notice that. I was eating Donnie used to make fun of me because I'd make eggs and then I'd put them on rice cakes and do some like Prego or something over it. And that was like one of my meals during the day.
Sure.
The other meal would be like a protein bar or like carrots or something.
Sure.
It was like all the money we made from the production business was going back into camera equipment. We had a pretty like good rotation of camera gear, like between the glass, between the bodies, and sound gear and stuff like that. We probably had $75K worth of gear.
Sure.
So all that was going really well for about a year. And then we had a third business partner. And they're just, dude, when you're not doing, like I was not on the financial side at all. Donnie was not on the financial side. And I don't think the other guy was either. So like when you got to a certain point where like, oh, taxes are due and stuff like that, you go over financials and like no one knows where any of the money is going or how you're paying or like I never took any money out of the business except to like, hey, Donnie, can we just transfer over so I can pay rent this month? I never like took anything to go like buy shoes or go like, it was all like literally going back into the business. I wore the same stuff every day for however long.
Yeah.
And so finally it got to the point where a lot of the stresses just got to all of us. And it just it was a toxic atmosphere. So I was like, you know what, at this point, let's just like go our separate ways. Mm-hmm. I want to do this long-term. So I'm just going to go off on my own and do the same thing I'm doing now. Donnie was the same way.
Did you guys just like split up the gear or did you sell it or how'd that all work?
So the gear all stayed with the business with the third business partner who still owns it to this day, I think. Up until this point, like we've made amends. Like no one's like, there's no bad blood anywhere. Like I think we're all awesome human beings. Like I don't have any like regrets or anything about anything. I kept a camera from all of that, and then everything else kind of stayed with the business. I kind of went into the business with that camera. It's the one I like bought just to start shooting Facebook photos and stuff.
Sure.
But aside from that, like I went off on my own with the camera and I started shooting at some of the salons and stuff I was shooting at before and continued that. I had an internship at a horse racing, a horse racing track in Omaha, Nebraska.
Sure.
And so like I had stuff coming in. I wasn't by any means making a healthy amount of money, but I was like, you know what, like this is fine for now. I'll build back up. And at that time where I kind of felt like I was getting to the point where I was getting stressed at that point because I was like, oh man, like my business failed. Like it's not over. I'm kind of going off on my own and like starting something else now, but I have no idea what direction to go. And so at that point, I got an email from one of my buddies the email had a link to application. I was like, what's this, dude? And I had met him at a fitness expo that I'd went to like a year and a half previous, the Arnold Expo in
Columbus.
Yep. Which great time, by the way.
Yeah, I went to shoot previous part of my career, like shooting nights and weekends. I was doing stuff for Brett and Ivana Vucic, or Ivana Vucic and Brett Wilkin.
Oh, okay.
And that was like the first show I went to. And when you meet, like you see, like I met, oh my gosh, Javon Alvin, who used to do all of Christian stuff. So I met him. I met like Mike O'Hearn. I saw the mountain deadlift, like the 1,000
the 1,083 pounds or whatever.
He set the world record. He like deadlifted like 4 tractor tires on each side. It's like, holy shit. So I saw that happen. But it's cool. Like you just get in the room with these people.
Yep.
And then like I met like
It
Randall
brings them
Pick
down to
and-
earth though.
Yeah.
When you get in that room.
Yeah. And like
It's
the
crazy.
Live Fit guys that
Yep.
their crew. So we were literally driving by and I stuck my head out the window. I'm like, Randall, like
Randall, let's go.
I followed you on Instagram for like 6 years. Like,
So I got a picture with Randall. I actually during the whole period of me like starting my business, living on like all that money was like going into the business. Whatever else I kind of took from the business and stuff, I used to either travel for work or I actually before, I think this was even before NSM Productions, I traveled to the Arnold Expo 2 years in a row and decided like I still want to be somewhat within the fitness space. I love it, like the YouTube aspect of it.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to make my own YouTube videos yet, even though when we started NSM Productions, we started doing some like vlogs and stuff. I go back to it today and I'm like, man, that was rough.
right.
Knowing what I've done now, you know?
Yep.
But I started going to these fitness expos. I actually drove from Omaha, Nebraska down to Las Vegas for the Olympia in 2016.
Okay.
It was the fall of 2016.
Were you shooting for a specific athlete or you just showed up
No,
with a camera
I just
to
showed
try
up with
to
a camera.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a great
and
way
it's
to do it,
a
though, man.
24-hour drive. Drove all the way down there.
Holy shit. That's a long one.
And it's crazy. That's not even the craziest part. Like, so I met a bunch of people down there just because I was there with the camera and trying to meet people, take pictures, whatever. But I went by the Ghost booth at that point. I met CJ, who's now the athlete director there. And I met Ricky as well, who is running the whole gaming side of things at Ghost. And they don't remember me, which is funny. But it was crazy because like I tried to get into one of their after parties at Omnia, and I got turned away because I had tennis shoes on. So that was like introduction into a different world, like going to Vegas and then like the nightlife scene and all that stuff. So fast forward to this point where I had met this guy and he sent me the Ghost application. He's like, oh, dude, you should apply for their videographer position. I was like, dude, you're 10 times better than I am with the camera. Like, you're going to get the job. A couple days went by and I was like, I kept looking at it as the days went by. I was like, that'd be cool though, right? Like, you can go work for Ghost. I started like daydreaming about it. And I was like, okay, maybe there could be something here. So I applied for it, sent in some of my work, waited a couple weeks, kind of forgot about it, and got an email back from Ryan Hughes, CMO. CMO over at Ghost. And I was like, oh, okay. Like he wants to do a call. So we did a call. I felt like I butchered it, but he emailed me back a couple days later saying he wanted to interview me in person. I was like, dude, I'm there tomorrow. Not knowing, I kind of knew, but like 9 hours to Chicago. He's like, oh, no, let's do Thursday. It was Monday at this point. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's do Thursday. He's like, is 11 o'clock in the morning good? I'm like, yeah, totally. The night before my interview, he actually sent me a Dropbox folder full of some of their last like expo footage. And he's like, hey, can you put this together? He sent it at 10 o'clock at night. I had to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning to make it there on time. So I stayed up all night trying to edit something together that was like presentable. I actually finished on the 9-hour drive. I was like driving and like trying to get some editing done. Every time I stopped for gas, I'd take a couple minutes just to like throw some transitions in there and stuff.
That's awesome.
So the 9-hour drive was turned into probably a 10-hour drive, and I got there right at interview time. Did a 25-minute interview, turned around and drove back.
Crazy.
Slept in a Target parking lot during the day. I was exhausted.
Did they not realize like they put you under so much stress?
I didn't tell them.
Yeah.
This was like that once in a lifetime opportunity that like, even if you don't get it, like it was a cool experience. You got to go see the Ghost office. At that time, it was like they had just moved from WeWork into the new building that we've been in for the last 5.5 years.
Yeah.
Super cool. I got to see it all, got to meet some of the guys, and I had never been to Chicago before. I paid $45 in parking and absolutely hated Chicago at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? Like at that point, I was still sleeping on like sleeping, I guess I had a room at that point. At that point, I was paying $300 for rent for a room. So like paying $45 for parking was absolutely outrageous to me.
Sure.
So I did the 9 hours back. Didn't hear anything for a couple of days. Finally, I got a call. And they're like, we'd like to fly you out to San Diego for the Fit Expo. Would you like to come? Like, this is like part of you're not hired yet. This is the interview process. We want to see if you work well with the team. I was like, okay, for sure. He's like, there's a couple other people we're looking at, but we wanted to test you out. I was like, cool, for sure. So I flew out that weekend. It was Halloween weekend. Yep. So I flew out to San Diego during Halloween weekend for the Fit Expo, and I was sick. But there was no way I was going to miss that opportunity. So I went and shot the whole weekend. We did a nightlife aspect to like the deal as well. If you know the guys, it's work hard, play hard. So we worked hard that day during the expo, and then we played hard at Park in San Diego, one of the big premier nightclubs. So we went out there. The Stafford brothers were playing. They're part of Ghost. Some of the first like ambassadors for Ghost on the DJ side. Mm-hmm. And so we filmed them at Park. Probably one of the coolest experiences I had ever experienced, going from like being kicked out of the party
wrong shoes
a year prior because I had the wrong shoes on, to now walking in behind this, like into the green room and everything with these guys, being able to shoot them was absolutely crazy. There was a point during the night I went out on, if you've ever been to a club, you know, there's dancing, like the girl dancers that go out there, whatever, they have like platforms. This platform at Park jutted out into the crowd with a like skinny like walkway, and then it's a big old like boosted up stage area, just a circle, probably 4x4, whatever. So I went out and jumped up on top of that and was filming. I just remember like filming and like having a good time and filming the crowd, and then turning to the DJ stand and stuff. And Dane and Ryan were out there like pointing at me like, yeah, he's out. Yeah, he's ours. He's ours. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I was like, I got the job.
Yep.
I got it. And so I actually had a plane flight that next morning at 6 a.m. So we were out at the club till 4. I didn't have
your flight left at 6?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep. So we were out till 4. And at this point, like I felt like I was sick too. Like I felt awful.
Yeah.
I had been drinking that night too. Obviously, it was a good time. Me and CJ left the club. I still hadn't had Uber on my phone. I never took Ubers. Yeah. I was in Lincoln, Nebraska. Like, there's no point to having Uber, yeah. Right? So I walked back to the hotel. I got back at 5. I was like, I got to get to the airport. Packed up my bag, left, flew out. And I think at that time I was flying either Frontier or Spirit. They didn't buy me a freaking United or anything. Well, they flew me out on
Dude,
United.
And that means there's 150 people in that line when you show up to the airport too. Because every time you see Spirit, early morning flight, it's like down the line, and then you got, like you said, United or Delta. And
I was being tested. Oh my
gosh. I can already see how many people were at the airport when you showed up.
To be honest with you, I don't remember too much. I was already like hungover at that point. I was sick. I just wanted to be home. I didn't know why I was leaving. There was still one more day of the expo, but they flew me out for the day or whatever. So I was like, okay, gotta get home. I feel like I made a good impression. I got to get to editing. So flew back, started editing as soon as I got back, sent them a bunch of different like variations of the video. Took us about maybe 1 or 2 revisions before they were like okay with it and like ready to post it. And then I got a call and they're like, when can you start? I was like, tomorrow. So they were like, okay, we'll start end of November, kind of beginning of the holiday season and stuff, right after Thanksgiving. Yep. So Halloween weekend, got the job. That's when I say I kind of started, because that's when they like were like, hey, you got the job type deal. But I didn't actually officially start in the office until the 26th of November, 2018. So 3 weeks to then find a place in Chicago, look at a couple places, make sure I'm in the right neighborhood and stuff. I'd been to the city once. So did that. Within the 3 weeks I was up there, moved up, and the rest is history. I was there for 5.5 years. I started the first 3 years, this is 2.5 years by myself, getting to that point where like we're a growing company and we need help. It was a lot.
So you're the only really in-house creative. So you're doing
So
photo
I
video
did
for the entire
photo,
brand.
video. I was doing some like 3D graphic design work at the time as well. We have amazing graphic designer who does all the tubs, does everything now. And she's built an incredible team there as well, Marissa. She actually helped me a ton like when I moved to the city because she was like, this area over here, don't even go close to that. This area is okay. This area you could probably do, but it's really expensive. I chose that area for whatever reason. Especially on like going from like paying $300 a month or being homeless to now living in like downtown Chicago, Old Town, and like it was a jump. It was a jump. My first room was right next to the L train. So I was about from here to that wall right there from the L train. It went by until 2 o'clock in the morning and then started back up at 5 o'clock. So it's a cool experience, like just like living in the city, like have all the sights, the sounds, like you're shaking as the train's going by. And like, it was, dude, like I was living the dream for, I mean, honestly, the last 5.5 years, like the guys and everything will joke, like it was a stressful 5 years, but I mean, the guys have the joke, it's you chose this life. In reality, like you had every decision to like go separate ways or whatever, but you chose to make this your life.
Well, I think too, like when you started, they were, I mean, for people that don't know, Ghost is a really large lifestyle brand now. When it started, it was just supplements, right?
Yep.
So when you started, it was just in that realm. What all? I mean, dude, it's like fitness industry, but now completely changed.
Ghost Lifestyle, we encompass an entire lifestyle. So our target demographic during that time was like some gym bros and stuff like that, but we always had aspirations to be more than that. We didn't want to just be the gym brand. And they started out from the beginning saying that, like, work hard, play hard. We don't want to just be the guys at the gym. We want to be the guys who are chasing our dreams and everything outside the gym as well. So that was a big part of it. What went on within the last 5.5 years there at Ghost was like honestly a blur. Like we've done so much from the supplement side of things to apparel. We did apparel of the month every month for 3.5, 4 years.
Now you guys are in there, they're in the energy drink business.
And
I feel like
we just jumped 2 years ago. We jumped into the energy business, which is worldwide. Like we're everywhere with that, and now into hydration as well. So I brought you a couple of those bottles too, so you'll have to try those.
Okay. Thank you for those, by the way.
100%. But dude, like to be there at such an early stage. I was the 7th employee. To now like jumping off and starting my own thing, I went from taking this rocket ship ride to the moon to now like, okay, we're jumping down, starting my own thing. And that's what we'll get into next. But the whole journey has been absolutely incredible and nothing short of a miracle. Like there's no reason I should have been there. God kind of put me in a place where I was able to jump in and do what I do, work hard and help build a team there. And then like just the people I met. I think the biggest takeaway from Ghost and everything is the network I've been able to create, lifelong friendships, and family, to be honest with you. Like everyone there at the office, like it was probably one of the toughest decisions I've ever had to make leaving Ghost. But I can say with complete confidence that I gave everything I had to the brand and to the people of the brand. So,
well, I think it's worth noting too, like, you said you're employee number 7. How big are they now? I mean, you're the only person in the marketing department when you started. How big was the team when you left, just in the marketing and then also as the company? So people understand like how big this company is now. Because if you're not in this world, you don't, I mean, I know because I've been around it a lot, but
100%.
give people some understanding.
So when I first started, it was me, Marissa, the graphic designer, and then Ryan, who was the CMO. He was doing a lot of the work at the time as well, like posting on socials and stuff. So when I started, I was doing all the creative, helping post on all the socials. Plus we had a weekly vlog going out. So I was filming everything we did. So along with doing our campaigns for different products, new products, launching apparel, we were also documenting the entire behind the scenes of everything we did, which is really cool. Like no one was doing it at the time. Like that was us. Like we kind of started the whole movement of behind the scenes. Everyone wants to see all the nitty gritty, like the boring stuff, the failures, the successes. We kind of started all that. So filming everything, doing all the campaign stuff, and then like doing all the social media stuff, like planning trends, all that stuff. So did that, me, Ryan, and Marissa for about 2 years before we started bringing some people on to help on the marketing side. And we grew the team. I had 4 people on the creative team, and we had 4 people on the design team when I left, plus other marketing specialists like VP of marketing helping us. The marketing side was probably 15 strong when I left.
Okay. Did you guys ever work with like ad buying agencies, or was it all in-house that you guys did all your stuff?
We worked with a couple agencies during the time. Nothing to the extent of like anything organic. Everything was all, if we were doing anything paid, it was like an agency or something.
Sure.
But I hired out. So I worked with probably 15 different videographer, photographers over the last couple of years, just with Ghost in general. So putting people on retainers to shoot in LA or Miami or Houston or over in the UK as well. So that's kind of where my network came from, is like I was able to hire my friends and hire people that I just saw on Instagram and was like, hey, dude, you have some really sick work. What would it take for us to work together? So I put a lot of people on retainers over the years to shoot for Ghost. And that they're like helped me a ton, just like with my content. Like I wasn't able to be so many places at once, you know?
Sure.
So between the vlog and all the content, I was stuck with the 2 guys. So if we needed content from certain athletes in Houston or LA, like I just have to hire out for that. And so going from there, we built the team, internal team, up to about 15 people on the marketing side. I think right now, the whole team in general is 120 plus.
Sure.
So
it's like warehouse employees, like everybody.
Warehouse, yep. We have a warehouse, or Tennessee, Las Vegas, Chicago, over in the UK as well. So
sure. That's super dope.
The entire process was absolutely amazing. Loved every second of it. There was definitely stressful times, definitely times where I was going to break, definitely times where I probably broke. But looking back at it and stuff, like there's a ton of like just life lessons learned from all of that. So.
Sure. No. Yeah. And of course we're hearing the dog barking. That's to be expected. So he's letting us know that he's still here. So, no, I think it's a wild ride, and it's so interesting hearing like you literally went from like sleeping in a sleeping bag in a gym to like working for one of the fastest growing lifestyle brands out there. And I mean, we talk about branding, like Ghost is really high up there. And how did that really play into what you're doing? Because I feel like everyone to work the kind of hours you guys were doing and put the extra work in compared to like a normal 9 to 5 in the city. How did you guys buy into the brand knowing what it was going to become, or what the goal of it was to become?
I don't think we knew. The guys will say to this day, they didn't know what it was going to do. Like they were just doing it because this is what they love to do. They wanted to create a brand for basically themselves and anyone who wanted to join. Like it was create the brand for the 90% and the 1%. What's it saying? Create the brand for the 99% and the 1% is going to be like the product and like all the stuff you put into it.
Sure.
Don't quote me on that.
That makes sense. No, and I think it's interesting because looking at the growth pattern there, I mean, the thing that I had that stuck out to me that made Ghost unique was the partnerships, right? The color or the flavor profiles, the like athlete partnerships, the licensing agreements, like all the different stuff. That was kind of like cutting edge at the time, right? It was like doing like a Chips Ahoy partnership or a Sour Patch Kids or whatever. Was that kind of all part of the plan on the marketing side of that? Or was that just something that just happened where they met licensing people and they're like, hey, let's license some different flavors?
So when they started the brand, it was all about authenticity. What did they like as children? What did they like growing up and becoming the men they are today? Like everything that we did from a brand standpoint was so authentic and organic to the people within it. Like the culture is everything, dude. Like the people you have in there, like if you breed a culture of just work hard, play hard, but you're also like, hey, we're not here to just put a brand out there and like take the money from people. Like we want to build a brand that's going to last, that's going to have a lasting impact on people and the industry as a whole. We wanted to correct the industry in the way it was going. We wanted to make something that was beyond like just another supplement. There was so much that we wanted to Let me restart. I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
We wanted to create something that was not just a supplement. We wanted to create something that was really making, changing the industry and disrupting the industry. So I think with the collaborations and stuff like that, I feel like that stuff came about because it was what the guys loved. And as we kind of grew and one after another, like the collabs kept coming, we were like, there's nothing we can't collab with. Like everything we do, like we did the Toon Squad. So we did Space Jam. We did Team NT. We did Chips Ahoy. We did like stuff that's not even in a flavor category, like the Team NT and the Space Jam. Like what do you think of when you think of that? You think of basketball or you think of Ninja Turtles. Like
Sure.
What kind of flavor would you like, whatever. But like along with the Nutter Butter, the Oreo, the Chips Ahoy, the Sour Strips, the Sour Patch Kids, like Warheads.
Yep.
We did all that stuff. And then we're like, hey, let's branch back into lifestyle. Like, how can we bring this into it? It was like what was in our childhood.
Well, I just look at like, and for people that aren't in the fitness space, like you guys were the first people that did this where it's like, the licensing makes so much sense where I don't know anything about Ghost, but I love Chips Ahoy cookies and I see the protein and it's like, I'll give it a go. And it's like, now that's like commonplace. Like Rise is doing it. Like all these other companies have kind of adopted this, which isn't like a bad thing. It's all pushing things forward, but it was so unique. 'Cause I think that's what skyrocketed it is because when you get that in that CPG space and you're on the shelf, your branding, the colors, the marketing, the packaging, the partnerships, that's what's getting people to buy. Because I've even had that now with myself. I've got some Ghost Chips Ahoy in my thing because I'm like, crap, I need like some protein powder, and I didn't have a chance to go to the supplement store. And I'm like, at Hy-Vee, it's at Hy-Vee. Like, get it off the shelf, a Target, whatever. It's right there, which is super crazy. What do you think was the biggest thing that you learned when like working in a growth-minded brand? What do you think was like the biggest thing you took away from that experience that you'll take in the rest of your career?
Keep moving forward, step by step, brick by brick. You're going to fail a lot of times. There's going to be things that you can't control. There's going to be things that you can control and you just effed up on. In my view of all of this, like, I think what helped me the most is seeing how calm the guys are within everything. Like, hey, stuff is going wrong, or like, you know, I can't even say some of the stuff that happened, but when you're put in positions like that where you're like, we're growing so fast, like we need to bring people on, like if something goes wrong, it starts to tumble fast. But keep your composure, like brick by brick, you're going to build this, whether you're learning from your failures or learning from your successes. If you stay in a growth and like learning mindset, you're always going to succeed at the end. I think moving forward into like my next phase of everything I'm doing, I think the biggest thing is taking the people, taking my network and utilizing that with everything I have. Like my goal has always been to, especially with my creative network, give people opportunity. I want to be able to create opportunity before the opportunity presents itself. That's one of my new mottos kind of going forward. It's like, I want to be a brand builder, but I want to do that by giving opportunities to my network, my friends, people who come to me for help with wanting to start their own business or wanting to get more into videography or photography. Like I want to be able to present an opportunity to them that they wouldn't have been able to get elsewhere. So that's the mindset going forward. And then I just learned from all them. I made plenty of mistakes over the last couple of years. Like learning from all that stuff is, it probably did it a painful way for a lot of it. But that's how you grow. That's how you continue to get better every day. And then having a team that isn't going to sit there and point fingers, that helped a ton as well.
I think it's really interesting hearing this whole journey because I have so many similarities with my own journey myself. Like when I started shooting videos, it was like doing YouTube videos of my fitness journey in college and like workout videos and daily vlogs and then traveling with Brett and Ivana and doing their stuff and then kind of doing gyms and like you said, salon and stuff. Like we've had a very similar arc. Sadly, I never slept in a gym in a conference room, but you should add that to it.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Right. But I think it's super interesting because there's a lot of other people that were in that creative space that just like wanted to connect over fitness over the internet. And it was kind of this rise of like the YouTube stardom and celebrity. what was that kind of experience for you as a viewer of like Christian and Max and some of these other people that were doing that? How did that influence kind of your style or the things you were doing for your own brand or for Ghost as well?
For my own brand, I really didn't have my own brand kind of working through Ghost and stuff like that. My full-time gig was Ghost. Like my life was Ghost at the time. So I wasn't necessarily thinking about myself for what I was going to be able to utilize after Ghost. At the time, it was, I'm here, I'm in it, I'm doing everything I can for the brand. For Ghost, it was, it's hard to compete with Christian and Max. So I was thankful they were on our team. So being able to shoot with them and kind of pick their brains and learn from them was actually one of the best things that I could have been given the ability to do at that time.
And you've met both of them?
Yep.
That's super crazy.
So, I mean, we shot countless videos together, whether it be YouTube or just launch videos or anything like that. For most of Christian's product collab campaigns, I shot all the photos and stuff for that. For Max, Max is Max. He is a genius with what he can do with the camera and stuff. And then at the time, his videographer, Oz, me and him are really good friends. So
such a small world, man. Again, I've followed Oz since he came on with Max and everybody too.
So me and him go, especially during the times we were shooting with Max and stuff, me and him would go back and forth on different styles and different things that they wanted to do and different things that we needed from a brand standpoint. But from like the YouTube kind of sphere, I think, to be honest, we were just trying to be Ghosts. Like there was no one else doing what we were doing at the time. And then kind of like you said about the collabs and stuff, like people start to copy, and we never saw any competition with any of that. Same thing with YouTube. Like as soon as people started popping off doing like behind the scenes and building the brand or behind the brand or whatever they want to call it, we had already been doing it for years. Like we didn't see it as competition. It was kind of flattery. It was like, okay, these guys are trying to copy us. That's cool. That's like, and I don't want to say it like copying, like they were trying to take what we were doing, but they saw it was working. Mm-hmm. And it's, dude, to be honest with you, like I love behind the scenes. We started shooting behind the scenes in the office just for photos and stuff, posting on our stories. Like people want to see that stuff. So why not give it to them?
Well, in this world too, it's like for the industry as it was like, especially the bodybuilding, powerlifting, weightlifting space is like death metal 6,000. It's like heavy metal, white dudes smashing their heads against walls. And it's one of those like, you don't know anyone that's behind the brand. It's just the brand is itself, but not in a good way. It's like there's no personification. There's no connection to, because it's business to customer, but it's like, it's people to people. So if you don't see like who the brand represents or whatever, or that whole connection is huge, I think. But also the behind the scenes is super empowering because like as a customer, if I'm in this space and I'm looking at all these other brands I don't know anything about, but then I see Ghost on the shelf or whatever, and I've seen Ryan grinding away on some of the marketing stuff and I can connect with that, or I see you guys shooting photos or putting the work in, burning the midnight oil, like I'm way more privy to get behind your brand and buy your product in that time of decision than the whatever is on there, Gatorade or whatever. I'm like, I don't know what jack about Gatorade. Yeah, Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, who like that doesn't connect to me. I'm not that. I'm like, I'm just the average dude that wants to be better. So,
and not to take anything away from Nike and stuff now or any of the other bigger brands, but people want to see like I said, behind the scenes, but people want to like feel connected. You really like, unless you're like a sneakerhead and you feel like that somehow connects you to a brand, like people want to be a part of a brand. And to do that, it's the smaller brands and like it's feeling a part of the community, a part of the family, a part of what they're doing. And that's what behind the scenes brought for us in Ghost, is creating a community around the people who love the brand, but love the people of the brand. It was like getting DMs from random people about like your video and congratulating you on like some of the milestones that Ghost hit. And I'm like, what am I doing for that? Like, that's awesome. Like, to be honest with you, I got so many DMs from people I had never met in my life, just talking about how awesome Ghost was and how it's changed their life, that they're taking the pre-workout now, the protein powders, but it wasn't the product it was the people. It was the motivation they were getting from the videos we were posting from the YouTube channel. Dan and Ryan have lived a crazy life, and they were in the other side of the supplement industry. And so when they started Ghost, it was strictly to get rid of that. Like get rid of that notion of like you have to be this bro who's freaking sweaty and veins popping everywhere out their forehead. And like they wanted to get rid of that notion and build this brand into a lifestyle brand that people could relate to.
Sure.
If you're going to the gym, if you're going out at night, if like you're just chilling at home, like we have the gamer product. You can chill while you're playing games and take our product.
Sure.
We have the multivitamins, the greens product. We want to be a wellness brand. Like we're full encompassing.
The fact that it's like, it's everyone from like a diehard athlete bodybuilder to like nerdy gamer dude and a DJ and all in like it's for everyone. That's so cool that people can feel connected to the brand and not be so isolated.
Like Life is Beautiful and all EDC and all this stuff. We have stages.
Yeah.
Like that's not in the fitness atmosphere. Like that's the energy drink taking over and like being something that like the guys didn't even see coming, but it presented itself. And Ghost as a whole is like, it's a household name now.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
Insane. This episode is brought to you by my company, Snod Media Group. Do you like the look and sound of this podcast? Of course you do. It's awesome. There are a ton of benefits to having a podcast. Sharing content online, networking with high-value people, and being a voice in your industry, and the list goes on. If your dreams of starting a podcast have quickly turned into nightmares, realizing how much stuff you have to learn and understand to get a published episode out every single week, I'm here to tell you that I can make your dreams come true. As long as those dreams are podcast related. We are now taking rentals for our podcast room here in the Snod Media Group studio. Gone are the days of spending thousands of dollars and setting up all of your professional camera equipment and probably screwing it up, learning how to capture and produce a professional level show, and probably screwing it up, learning professional video editing, posting social clips on social media, having a distribution calendar, the whole 9 yards. It sounds like a lot because frankly, it is. And let's face it, who has time to do all that stuff anyway? My team and I, that's who. Let us take all of the stress of creating content off of your plate. Simply come in, sit down, record your episode, and leave. A couple days later, you'll have all of your files sent directly to your inbox. It really is that simple. Our quiet studio off the beaten path in Granger, Iowa comes complete with soundproofed walls, as you can see here, wood backdrops, as well as a neutral backdrop, and professional lighting. Utilize over $20,000 worth of camera, audio, and lighting equipment with this turnkey space. You can not only use this podcast room, but other parts of our studio to capture social media content or more conversational pieces as well. We have 3 different packages that can suit your needs and your budget. So let's bring those podcast dreams to reality. For more information about starting your very own podcast here at the studio, visit snodmedia.com/podcast. Now let's get back to the interview. Before we get into like what you're doing now, I wanted to take a quick break for the lightning round. These can be 1-word answers, they can be 5-minute answers, whatever you want. We'll leave it.
Okay.
There's no strict rules with this show.
I've been doing some brain games in the morning to get me ready for all this.
Okay, there you go. Some neuroplasticity. Okay. Your go-to lens and combo. You can only have one body and one lens for variety of shots. What are you going with?
Okay, up to this point, it's the Sony A1. Okay. Steak sauce, baby. And the G Master 16 to 35 2.8.
Okay. Love it.
Yep.
For the adverse, mine would be A7S III with a 28 to 70 2.8. That'd be.
I like that.
Close, kind of the similar things, but different. Why? Is it just photo video combo?
Versatility. Yeah. I can shoot video, photo with the A1, and that lens is my freaking go-to. Like
sure.
I shoot wide. 16 millimeters is as wide as you need to go, really. Mm-hmm. And then 35, like if you're vlogging or if you're taking portraits or whatever, like perfect.
Sure. Love it. You talk a lot about men's fashion and sharing your fits on social media.
Yep.
What are 3 men's fashion tips or things that guys should be doing to feel better, more confident with how they're dressing?
Layering is everything, especially during the fall, winter season, spring even. And then even summer, doing some button-ups and stuff like that. That's number 1. Number 2, kicks. You got to have a pair of kicks. If it's just one, have a special pair, whatever. Have some kicks. That's a go-to. And then 3rd, I would go with. Right now, I'm really into like neutral colors.
Okay.
So I'm not like out there and wild. Some of my shoes, that's where you can go. The kicks can be wild, but neutral colors, like some earthy colors, that's my go-to now, especially for 2024 season. Yeah.
Sure. My wife and I dress our kids and we call them boring beige babies. They wear like earth tones,
Yep.
brown, gray,
Yep.
tan, because you can't mess it up, man.
Tan.
You can't mess it up.
Yep.
It's like dark layer, white, light layer. Love
Yep.
it. One thing that you do every day for yourself.
Devotional, pray and devotional in the morning. Every morning it's non-negotiable. That's what I do. I'm not here by any other means than what Jesus Christ has done for me. So that's like my go-to every single morning, prayer and devotion.
Has there been any day that you've missed the devotional?
Plenty of days where I've missed and regretted it.
Sure, sure.
You go through your day. I've found that if I'm starting my day with that stuff, that the joy I have during that day and the ability for me to mentally prepare for all the crap that happens during the day, I'm so much better prepared. So
I love that. What was your dream job at third grade?
Third grade,
Like elementary school, people are like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What'd you tell people?
probably a bull rider.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad was a bull rider when he was young, not professional or anything, but growing up. And when I was in third grade, being homeschooled and stuff, yeah, that was my go-to.
What do you think the rodeo bull riding Holden would think about where you're at in your career now?
Dude, to be honest with you, like mind blown. Completely different people, I guess. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, you went from being a country farm boy to now you're
wearing Wranglers and boots and spurs to now wearing some freaking Jordans and,
I love it, dude.
else.
You're a different
Cargo
person.
pants.
This is great. Biggest difference from living in Chicago versus Des Moines now?
Price.
The price of it. Take a gallon of gas is $10.
Oh my gosh, the living costs for sure. No, the pace. Everything's slow and quiet here. Chicago, it's fast paced. It's not to say that this isn't a motivating atmosphere, but when you're in Chicago and you're walking downtown and you have your ear pods in or whatever, it's a vibe.
Have you plugged into the entrepreneurship community here yet?
Not necessarily here in.
Okay. I will, after we're done, I'll get you some information because there's a lot of people that would benefit from your knowledge. And
I was
vice
watching
versa.
your socials and stuff, and I was like, I want to meet like all these guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool people. I mean, just from people on the pod, happy to connect you with.
Been super chill the last, I've been here about a month and a half now, and I've been like in a hole, like trying to build. So.
Yep. Yeah, and I know the grind of just being like alone, that you can definitely connect with some people. Yep. I'll get you connected. Last question of the lightning round. What is one thing that all great brands have?
One thing that all great brands have, the ability to connect with their audience in a personal way.
Love that. Okay, you're out of the hot seat for the lightning round. You can take a breath here.
That was easy.
Anything you thought I was going to ask you?
Take my sweatshirt off and sweat a little bit.
I just had another podcast this morning with Colleen Kinsey, which she'll be on the pod the week before yours. But she was like sweating on the way over here because she's like, he's going to ask me some crazy, because she listens to every episode. Yeah. So anyway, okay. So we've talked about everything with Ghost. Obviously, you mentioned you're not doing that anymore, and you've kind of transitioned to living here in Iowa. New stuff. What is the new venture? I know you're kind of early on to it. We got a hat here. I'll hide the logo if we need to, but you brought some swag. What is the new venture, and what is the thing that you're building currently that you're trying to work on?
So that is just part of the venture. That is just a puzzle piece in it.
Am I allowed to show the logo? We can keep it hidden.
Keep it hidden for now.
Okay.
Keep it hidden for now.
It's a black hat. You never know. No one can see it.
It's going to come into fruition here shortly in the next couple months, but kind of want to keep it on the DL for right now. Not many people know it all. It's not my brand by any means. It's something it's a buddy that met years ago when I first started this journey, and it's to see that go from the ground up has been absolutely amazing. Like, it's so motivational to see him do it, and that pushes me, So, when you have those people in your life where it's like they're out, and at the beginning it's like they're kind of crazy for doing what you're doing, but fast forward 5 years and you're like, dude, you stuck to it and now you're here. Like, that is absolutely amazing. That's inspirational. Sure. So you get those people in your life and you got to keep them there. So definitely going to help out this brand and do everything I can to help build it into a household name like Ghost. That's my goal. So
with the brand, I mean, as much as you can share, is it like a retail brand? Is it clothing? Is it more of a lifestyle brand? What's your role in the company?
This is going to turn into a lifestyle brand. Right now, we're aiming to jump into a whole bunch of different ventures on it. Can't say too much just because, it's just in the beginning stages with my partnership with them and stuff. Right now, my goal is building. I have a couple different ventures I'm kind of tackling right now. One is my creative consulting agency. It's called Wonder Collectives, WNDR Creatives. That's the first time I've said that out loud to anyone. So that is coming out. I'm working on my branding right now, but I've spent the last month and a half, 2 months, kind of developing a process, my systems, and kind of the backside of the financials to kind of jump out and start helping brands grow from the ground up, but in a not a performance marketing way, but from a branding way. I want to take brands from, hey, we sell a product and you buy us once and then you're gone. I want to turn that into what we did with Ghost and what we're doing with this new company now, which is creating a household name, creating something that lasts longer than, you purchasing a product and then either consuming it or taking it and then forgetting about it. I want to create the next Nikes of our era.
That's super awesome.
So,
is this more of like a consulting firm, or is it more like doing photo video work for them plus consulting?
It's called Collectives because it's going to consist of a collective of my entire network, whether that be photographers, 3D designers, graphic designers, videographers. When you hire me to consult, you get all that. And depending on, what business we're working with and how we're kind of strategizing your content or strategizing your brand, I think the biggest thing is I want to create a lasting impression on the world through your brand.
Sure. No, I love that. So you're in the launching phase of that now. Is that mainly like the main thing you're doing for work now or making money from is that, and then this other project is like a side project?
So I have so many projects going on right now. So that's the major one. That's the one I've been pouring my heart into the last couple of months. And it's, it's weird because like I'm a creative at heart. I was kind of telling you this before. My mind doesn't go to the process or the systems or the financials. My mind is how can I create this brand to look and feel like something people want to collaborate with. And so I got that stuff done, the branding. One of my good friends from the UK is actually doing my branding right now. And we're going to create this. It's going to look so sick. When it comes in, I'm going to cry because I've been working on this the idea has been there for about 2 years.
Sure.
I knew after Ghost, my time after Ghost, I'd want to create something. So I started scheming this thing up. The second thing is me and my brother own a construction and home renovation business.
Okay.
So I'm doing that with two of my other brothers. And right now I'm kind of helping them on the backside with finances and stuff like that. Like I said, not my strong suit, but it's definitely not their strong suit. So I'm trying to do the best I can to help them out with that.
And are you doing the work itself, or what is your role in that?
I actually can't do the laborious work right now. I had spine surgery about 6 months ago, still in recovery, kind of building up into the point where if they need help, I can, but that's not really my goal. I kind of want to be an overseer and kind of a manager, if that makes sense.
Sure.
The third, fourth thing is a brand. I'm building a brand. I'm not going to let anything out on that yet. It's kind of a passion project, something that I kind of incorporate in my day-to-day content. We kind of brought it up earlier with like fits and stuff like that. So that's coming probably end of 24. So working on that now.
That's really dope. It's interesting too, like most of the entrepreneurs I talk to on this podcast, they'll start with one thing and then you start skiing. Like it's almost like a good sickness in a good way. Mm-hmm. Like you just start like, I've got all these ideas. What else can I do?
Success breeds success.
Right. And just ideas.
I haven't had success yet and I'm still
Right. We're having fun with it. No, yep. I think it's interesting though, because all the different things can line up. It'll scratch all those different itches for you.
Yeah.
What's kind of the big picture vision with any of these new brands as far as you can go? Like is it Wonder Collectives?
Yep. Wonder Collectives.
What's the big picture vision for that? Are you wanting to have like remote shooters that you have, and then you have clients on retainer and you can just kind of place creatives? What's kind of the goal with that?
Dude, to be honest with you, like I've said it 100 times already in this podcast, but I've been absolutely blessed with the opportunity with Ghost. And that has helped me create a name for myself. I'm not stupid and naive to not recognize that. People want to work with me for the abilities that I've presented through Ghost. So my goal is to have couple brands on retainer month to month and help coach and build them into freaking rock stars.
Sure.
Like my goal is to take these brands and make them the goal is longevity. You know, when you start a brand, a lot of people nowadays want to start a brand and make the quick buck. That's not what I'm here for. My goal is to make Wonder last forever, and be a brand that is a catalyst for other brands. I want to be able to use all the knowledge I've learned from Ghost and all my other experiences to propel these brands into a different stratosphere, whether that be through content strategy or through just brand strategy in general.
Sure. No, I love it. We'd mentioned earlier on too, you mentioned there was some physical injury and some things that kind of got you in and out of the athletics side. Yeah, athletics and that type, and like working out and stuff like that. What's been kind of your journey with that and how it's impacted like your business journey and just your career in general?
It's been a journey. So the Ghost journey was a journey. The injury was a journey as well. Freshman year of football, high school, I actually broke my back. Injured it. I actually slipped a disc during morning weightlifting, doing squats. And then later on that week, hit in the game with a helmet straight to the back, fractured 3 vertebrae. I was in a brace for about 6 months. Looked like the Hunchback of Notre Dame out there. Continued to play throughout the entire season and stuff. Stupid.
With a back brace on?
Yep.
Oh my God.
And
you're like the center, you like bend over.
I was a freshman. I was playing JV, so it wasn't too crazy.
Like,
actually,
someone get this kid off the field. He's gonna kill himself.
Right? The week actually that I was that got out of the brace, both of our starting quarterbacks for varsity were taken out, injury and otherwise. So I started varsity game against the number 1 team in the state. They had a defensive tackle who was recruited to play for Nebraska. Our team, a school of freaking 150 students in the high school, whatever it was, playing against the number 1 team in the state.
Why is this
I'm a
even
freshman
a thing?
starting quarterback, just got back, not even got back. I had played the season with a broken back, and now I'm coming into this game where this defensive tackle is like 350 pounds, committed to play for Nebraska. And like I said, I'm a freshman. We started out, it was a hot game. We started out going up 21-0 first quarter. Ended the game 65-21.
How did you survive? One to hit from that dude. You already got a broken back.
100%. I got hit by that dude a couple times. It was not a fun game. The beginning of the game, first quarter, first couple minutes, we took a kickback. We had the next play that we did. We ran for 65 yards on a reverse for a touchdown. And then we had one other touchdown. And great game up until it wasn't.
Right. Sure. So you break your back.
Yep, broke my back. Went through all 4 years of playing high school football. Probably not the best for it. I always had pain, but it was like nothing unbearable. Going into college and stuff, I was out of playing football. I'm fine. Whatever. Weightlifting, doing squats, deadlifts. Got up to deadlifting 400 plus pounds, and then started having some like real issues with the back. Never let it heal correctly. Never had surgery or anything. Didn't realize until this last year that I had actual pieces of bone floating around in there. And then getting to probably the last like 2.5, 3 years, really bad pain. And it was all nerve. Like I started having drop foot in my right foot. And this is at this point, a decade-old injury, and I just always thought I'd be able to fix it naturally through yoga, through stretching, through chiropractic work and all that stuff. And I tried, had so many cortisone shots, over the years to the point where they couldn't give me anymore because they're like, you've had so many, And then coming into the last 2 years, I started seeing some specialists. Hey, what can I do? They're like, we can't do anything unless you're getting MRIs, CT scans, and all this stuff. So finally, this last year, I did it. Saw 4 neurosurgeons. Finally picked one. I didn't like any of the answers they were giving me. Surgery, replacing part of the spine, not what I wanted to do. Finally, they were like, Holden, this is literally the only thing you can do right now. Like my disc was so far gone that it was pushed back into my spinal canal and it calcified. So it actually turned to a bone within my spinal canal. And that's what the pain was coming from. And that's why I had drop foot, because it was blocking my nerves.
Oh, okay.
So I couldn't lift my foot. So
that's scary.
Got to that. I'm 28 years old.
Yeah, I'm like, especially for someone your age, like can't even
28 years old and can't run because it causes pain. I was to the point where like I'd have to roll out of bed in the morning. I have to lay on my side to try to put my socks on. So I was at the point now where I was like, dude, you're 28 years old. Where are you going to be when you're 35, 40 years old? Can't
50, 60. Do you're in a wheelchair?
I was going to be in my wheelchair by 35. I was like, oh man, I can't do this. Always had jokes about it. I'll take it lightly, whatever. Sure. But finally I was like, oh, stop being stupid. Go get something done. So back in August, I had surgery, had 2 titanium rods put in, 4 titanium screws, and a titanium cage to replace my disc. So I actually grew 3/4 of an inch, which is
congratulations,
fantastic news, right? Like as a guy,
the surgery successful.
As a short king,
you grew a 1 inch. Yep. Congratulations.
So that was awesome. But now I have some cool scars, some titanium, and no nerve pain, which is after almost 12 years of nerve pain to not have that anymore. Absolutely a miracle. And I contribute that to my stubbornness, kind of working up to it. And then God putting me in the right position to be able to have the right doctor do the surgery. Yeah. Because that surgery, like, as simple as it may not even seem simple. 2 rods and 4 screws and like whatever else they put in me. I really wanted someone who knew what they were doing. This guy, Dr. Singh, he had worked on UFC athletes, MMA athletes, NHL athletes, stuff like that. So I was like, I think I'm in good hands, you know? Sure. So, and probably a couple years ago, I wouldn't have had the opportunity. So I met the right people. I actually know the creative director for Dr. Singh's practice. And so I'm actually going to do a like docu-series on like my journey through it. So it was going to be pretty dope.
Sure. That's crazy. And it's insane though. Like you go through that kind of pain. Cause I have family members that have just chronic back pain from different issues, like being obese or, you know, growth pains or just getting old, like little things like here and there. And it's hard with back specifically, it's like literally everything you do, like you could hurt it squatting, which is a leg exercise, but if your posture's not well enough, like it can hurt it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, like it affected everything I did. Sitting down on the toilet, tying my shoes, like lifting up my nieces, I wasn't able to. And I was like, I have 4 nieces now. Like, what if when I have my own kids? Like, and there was a point in the journey where I had the doctor tell me, if this gets any worse, you might not be able to have kids. It's pushing on the right nerves right now, but if it moves over and shifts and it presses on this nerve or whatever, you could not have kids.
Sure.
I was like,
you're like, no more jokes. Surgery. Like, let's get this taken care of.
So I got to the point where I was just like, you know what, God, whoever you put in my way, doctor wise or physician wise, like, I'm just going to do it now. Like I saw too many people and I was like, I'm a little far from the mic. I saw too many people that I was like, I didn't like what they were saying, but at the end of the day, it was the only thing I was going to be able to do.
Sure. So you're in Chicago. You figure out, I'm assuming you started these ideas before you left Ghost, or did you just say, I'm going to go start something new and just leave?
No, so like I said, the Wonder Collectives has kind of been in the back of my mind for about 2 years. And all the other stuff has been there. I just haven't like dabbled into it.
Sure. Well, and we can talk after this, but the freelance videographer community on Facebook, if you're a part of that, that's my Facebook group.
Oh, cool.
There's 94,000 videographers in there. Yeah. So if you need access to more people and like
100%.
Literally anywhere, like I have a client that was like, oh, I'm starting a marketing agency in Orlando. Can you come down to Orlando? I'm like, I know three shooters off the top of my head that are very good that are there that I'll just like source them. They can send the footage. Like I'll give them an upload link to my NAS.
I love that.
I'll see it on Tuesday. Like it's super easy.
No,
so
that's super dope.
Happy to connect with any of that stuff. But I think it'll be interesting to hear too, why did you move back to Iowa specifically? Since you were in Nebraska for a while, you're in Chicago. What drew you to Iowa? Because you're here in like central Iowa now. So
Yeah. So here in Ankeny, I signed a 6-month lease out here. But really, it was kind of my just escape to solitude. My family's here. I have all my nieces, my brothers, sisters, mom and dad aren't too far away, about 2 hours. And then getting out of the city. I've been in the downtown Chicago for 5+ years. Wanted to get to a spot where I could just sit back, focus, and not have the pressure of like trying to tell people what I'm doing or like try to explain myself, which has been nice. Like this is the first time I've really talked about what I'm doing to anyone, besides like the people in my circle.
Sure.
You know, so this was a cool opportunity because it's lower overhead too. I don't have to worry about like going out and getting groceries or whatever. The Uber Eats is a little slower, but and Amazon,
Right.
but get it in 3 days instead of like overnight. But
Sure.
it's okay.
Sure. Well, and some of those things are just interesting because like that's how we got connected was, I don't even know if I mentioned this in the beginning, but I was working for the CrossFit gym I'm a part of, and one of the trainers was there, and I had introduced myself to her, and she had said, what's her first name? I forget her first name. Hope Ogg. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like a super unique name. Do you know Holden? Like, yeah, it's my brother. I'm like, are you serious? And so I was like, I didn't know if you guys were from Ankeny originally or if she was a reason why you came back here or anything like that.
Yep. So she's in Ames right now. She's going to Iowa State. And so did 2 of my younger brothers. One of them went up to UNO when I was up there as well. But large family. They're all down here. All stayed within Iowa and Nebraska area. So coming down just to be a part of it. I've been away from it for 5 years. Coming back every once in a while and stuff. Really like a family man at heart. So like I love being near to people and being able to help with the business, being able to help with the girls and stuff, my nieces. That's probably been like, it grounds you, and like to have something like that. And they've been nothing but supportive with me and my endeavors through everything. So
sure. No, I absolutely love that. And it's interesting to plug in because like I said, after this is done, I can give you as many resources as you can because I've also been there too, but just to pick up and go to a new town would be a challenge. So just to keep that creative itch going where you're not just trapped at home all day working. So as we're kind of wrapping things up, I wanted to kind of ask you about doubt as a creative. A lot of people have this comparison game of like, I'm looking on Instagram all the time. All I see are like these amazing videographers or photographers that just put out amazing work. How do you avoid having doubt in your own skill set as a creative and push yourself to continue to innovate, get better, and improve your skill set?
For me, throughout my career, I've always had doubts and stuff about it. Like I said it at the beginning when my buddy told me to apply for this job. I was like, dude, you're 10 times better than me. Like, there's no way I'm going to get this job. Fast forward 5, 6 years, I had it. I've done it. You just did it. Yep. So at this point, I shouldn't have any doubt with my capabilities or what I'm able to do, but I still face those doubts. Like, I don't think they completely go away unless you're egotistical and like really have that like grounding of like you're the best, whatever. Like, there's always a time where you can learn more and do more. I think you just have to, when those doubts come into mind, like you're able to learn or do anything you want. Like with our resources now, like if there's something that comes up that makes you doubt your skill or your talent or your ability to run a business, just like this, like for you to be here telling me you can help me with my network or anything like that, like there's people that can help you, or there's resources on the internet or anything that you're able to just access freely.
Sure.
So there should be no doubt. The reason we have doubt is because it's a fear. It's like something that like we can't necessarily look at and be like, man, like fears of the mind. Like I was talking to one of my buddies the other day, like everything we face nowadays, whether that be imposter syndrome, like doubt, anxiety, whatever, that's all fear in our mind, fear that we place on things from the past or on the future. It's not of the present. Mm-hmm. So when you're in the present, you're able to realize that you have everything you need right here at your fingertips or within your family, within your friendship, within your network. Like, why is there a reason to doubt? It's just because we get ahead of ourselves or we get behind ourselves and start looking at what was instead of what is.
Sure.
So I think the biggest thing now is like, especially when you have those doubts, my faith plays a massive role in my life. And so I go to that every time.
Sure.
And I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but that's mine. So my prayers are, God, like I know I'm scared right now. I don't know necessarily if it's, what's to come or what's behind me or whatever. I don't feel like I'm worthy of the situation I'm in, but you put me in this position. You're putting me at these certain tables. You're going to take me through it. Like I have no doubt that you've brought me this far. You're not going to fail now.
Sure.
So that's my mindset and that's my prayer. So.
Sure. No, I love that. And I think having that kind of like belief in yourself to pursue it and knowing that like there's a reason I'm being exposed to these new people or new opportunities, or when things come your way, don't get scared and turn them away. Because you could have done that with the ghost opportunity. Yep. Let doubt, fear, resentment, whatever sneak in.
There's plenty of it.
And snuff it. And it's like, can't do this anymore. You just never know unless you kind of allow yourself to dream and do that. But it's funny, you're like, learn more, be more, do more. I'm like, that's the Alpha Elite slogan.
No, 100%.
I'm like, I've heard this before too.
No, it's, dude, there's no reason I should be where I'm at today. It's a miracle that I am. God placed me in certain situations so that I could be here. I made the right choices, met the right people, but it's only because of his grace and the people he put in my life. Like I was just throwing mud at a wall. I was hoping it would stick. I had to duct tape that stuff together sometimes, but like I didn't pick up a camera until I was 18, 19 years old. And at that point, I still had no idea what I was doing. Sure. I have no formal education in any of this, in marketing, in creative, in any of it. I just did what I felt was right at the time and what I felt called to do. And God worked from there. So
I love it. Love it.
He takes you and molds you.
Absolutely. Final question here. What was the biggest challenge of your career? If you had to think back to like this point where your back's against the wall and you had to really make some decisions or really just put your head down and work harder than you've ever had to work before?
I think I played it off pretty lightly at the beginning when I said my business failed, but that was kind of a big part of my life where I was like, okay, my business failed. I dropped out of school. I was living in a gym. I have a $300 bedroom that I'm living in now. What am I going to do next? I think that's where the doubt started creeping in a little more than it had typically. Because like I said, when I wasn't living in a spot, when I was living in the gym, I was like joyous. I was happy. I was like, I'm working towards something. At the point where I wasn't, I was like, what am I doing any of this for? So the biggest obstacle was like jumping back on the horse, and the ghost opportunity came up. If I would have said no, like none of this would have ever happened. Like if I wouldn't have sent that application in because I was like, this dude's going to get the job because he's better than me.
Or if you just said,
I can't tell you why I sent that in. Yep. Like I knew it wasn't good enough.
Yep. Or you're like, oh, go to San Diego and then you're like, I have a cough.
To be
honest, can't go. I'm sick.
I got home and I was sick for a week after that.
Sure.
Like it was bad. I actually had, so my lymph nodes, I never told anyone this. I got pictures of it. I had my lymph nodes swelled up to the size of a baseball.
Holy cow.
And so I couldn't like even put my head like that. I was like this because it was just like so swollen and stuff. I don't even know what it was. I had them drain it and stuff, but finally got over that and I was fine. But
Insane. In terms of like everything that's going on, I mean, we mentioned you're doing like 4 or 5 different projects here. Where can people find out more about you, connect with you online, and learn more about you?
Funny you should ask. So I'm doing a new series called The Daily Build on my Instagram channel and my TikToks. So Holden_Ogg, OGG is the last name. And I'm kind of documenting my entire journey throughout. Like it kind of started with ghosts and documenting the daily vlog or the weekly vlogs and stuff. Now I'm kind of doing, it's definitely not daily. I don't have the time or like energy to do that stuff. But we're doing a couple times a week. I'm posting basically my day-to-day of how I'm building a brand, how I'm building a business, and what it takes, whether that be meetings, phone calls, and then my training for, I have goals athletically as well. So I'm starting to do stuff with that. And yeah, that's where you can find me, Holden_Ogg, IG.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully this podcast will make it in one of the vlogs. That'll be a fun highlight of some fun things to do. But thanks so much for coming on, man. I really do appreciate it. And again, I was trying to connect with you, and ironically, you come back to Ankeny of all times, and I'm like, wow, you're like 30 minutes away instead of like 6 hours. So that's way more convenient to do this in person.
No, you asked me a couple months ago, and at that point, I had like not even decided about like what I was going to do with Ghost and stuff yet. So no, this came out perfectly.
Perfect. Well, there you have it, folks. Another episode of the Rhymes with Odd podcast. As we mentioned, we'll put all of Holden's stuff below. Make sure to go check him out on Instagram or TikTok and follow along with his series that he's doing and all of his business stuff. If when this comes out, some of these unknown projects are public, we can also put links to that stuff below as well. But if you made it this far, make sure you give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. It helps so much when you guys do that, and leave a review. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, make sure to subscribe there. We have the full-length videos so you can watch our pretty faces on the video, not just have to listen to us talk. So
and smash that like button.
Yes, there you go. My name is Ryan Snod. It rhymes with Odd, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.